Hey guys, in this video we're going to just gonna sit and paint. Actually, nothing really big with this one. I'm just gonna paint up Daredevil and share what I'm gonna do with you guys. So first, I'm gonna start with doing the face. I prime everything in the Marvel Protocol Crisis, and even on some of my Death Guard stuff. I prime everything white or light gray, especially in protocols where you can get the the lighter the prime, the more vibrant the color. You don't get those dark shades, the dark undertone. So I did all my Marvel stuff. I'm doing all white. So this is White Scars White from Citadel, and I'm gonna start with Bugman's Glow on the skin. Not too much on my brush there. This is a little too watered down, but I didn't want to. And don't worry about it if you go over top. Once that is dry, I'm going to use Cadian Flesh Tone, and I'm going to put a light layer on there. Wet my brush a little bit. I'm just going to thin this out. I'm going to put a thin layer on it. A thin layer of Flesh Tone. Let that dry a little bit and take a little bit more. And now I'm going to start to, again, the thin layer, and just kind of layer up around his cheeks, up on his nose. What I'm not doing is I'm not getting in, like, I'm just trying to do the surface of it, right? Not getting in where his lip is down there. I'm just kind of highlighting. So you can see the indentations of his face, like the little crack right here by his nose, and underneath his lip, and underneath his mask. So what I'm not doing is when I put my layers on, I'm kind of just putting layers on away from that. So it's not, it's hard to see if I can get it closer here. So what I'm not doing is I'm getting right here at the tip of his nose. I'm lighting it up, and then not by his mask, not hitting that, not hitting the creases. Gives his face some definition if you can see it. And it's very simple. You don't have to worry about being so detailed on that small of a model, right? I'm going to take a little bit of Bugman's Glow that I started with. A little bit. little bit of Bugman's Glow, and I'm just gonna just touch his lips. Just to make him a little darker. You can see that. I'm gonna start on his suit, and I'm gonna use this heavy red from Vallejo. No, I don't think it's dark enough. I don't think it's dark enough. Let me see. So, now this, I'm going to use corn red because I want to see if that's a little darker. Nah, it's a little bit too blue. Guys, don't be afraid to do this on your models. I mean, don't be afraid to check things out and try colors. And so this, right now what I'm trying out is the Word Bearer red. And I think it just might be too brown. But it is giving me a darker undertone. So you can see I have 3 different colors on this. I have the Vallejo color, the heavy red. I have the Word Bearer red on there as well on the leg, and I also have corn red. And I also have the corn red on there as well. And think I'm gonna go to, I think I'm gonna go the Word Bearer red. I think I'm gonna switch it to that. It's a little bit more brown, but that's okay. I'm actually gonna mix some of that heavy. So what I'm gonna do with this, just to get this color. So guys, don't be afraid. Like I said, don't be afraid to try things. So here's the word. Here is the Word Bearer red. We're gonna scoop some out on our wet palette here, and then here is the heavy red that I squirted from Vallejo. I'm just gonna add that to it and get a little darker red, so I can kind of get more what I'm looking for. I think it's a little deeper red. So this is the red I'm going to use. So it's just a little deeper. It's going to be hard to tell on that camera, but this is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to do the whole entire model in that color. All right, so now that I have all the mixed color of the red that I wanted, a little deeper red, you can see I covered the whole model with it. I'm actually going to take that same heavy red that I started with, that I thought was too light, and I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to do everything except for like inside the creases of his suit. So take that red, and I'll show you if you can see it. It kind of started on his shoulder here. Too much water on him. I'm just going to go just paint every patch, but leave the creases. So I'm going to leave the creases inside there. I'm going to leave those that dark red, the base coat red. So didn't really say this before. I'm not going to try to get all the way under his stomach, right? So I'm actually just shading with this. I'm trying to pick up highlights now. So I'm going to get over his top like this. Paint this shoulder pad here. Right? What I'm not going to do is not going to get under his arm because I want that to be a little darker. So I'm just going to kind of hit here and highlight some of these folds. Now this is going to dry. It's going to dry darker, so you may not be able to tell. But believe me, in the grand scheme of things, this is how you get some nice shading and wet blending on stuff. You do a gradual, if you're patient, you get a gradual fade. It's like fading, which is more natural. So right now I'm just getting everything that's smooth and then just touching his thigh because the light is shining. The light's shining this way, you know, straight down on him. I'm going to have my light source come straight down, so meaning it's going to come from this angle here. So I'm going to make sure when I do my highlights, I'm going to highlight this up here and in where you can see it. So when you're looking at something, you want your light sources and you want your highlights to be natural. You got to look at it from the perspective of what you're seeing. So my light sources are going to come from this angle. So what's going to happen is I'm going to paint everything here. As you can see it, I'm going to lighten that area up after I do this coat with this. So this right here is just to kind of even everything out. Just to and it's okay even to touch over those folds in there on the leg. The fold on the boots. I'm not really giving a whole coat. I'm just touching the smooth areas and putting some paint in some of the grooves. So I didn't really you can still see some you know, some dark there. I'm just not making it look, I just don't want it to look like it's intentional. I missed a spot right there. See, I missed a spot. It was white there. I just hit it. Just kind of lightening up here a little bit. So like I said, this is going to dry darker than what we're seeing. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of still staying out of these main creases. That's really where you want to be cautious, where you want to be a little bit more careful. Just trying to stay out of these lines here, out of these creases in the outfit. So with this red, I'm just trying to brighten up this base coat a little bit. That's why I'm getting everything here. Just making a little bit more red. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can see there's two different, that heavy red, and next to it right here is the custom red that we made up. I just lightened it up a little bit. And like, I didn't even paint the whole panel. Did you see that? I didn't even paint the whole panel. I just touched up some of the area and there. So now we got them. Now we got them to get the color we want. Okay, we want them to be this color. This was the color I wanted them to be. I want them to have a red suit, but with a darker red undertone, which we did. So far, now again, you know, I'm good with using all the tools that are provided for us. We haven't washed this, and I'm not going to wash it. At least the suit part of it. I'll wash the gravestone or something, but I'm not going to wash the suit using any kind of wash. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lighten this up a little bit. All right. So I have on my palette, this is where I was pulling out of. Okay, this was the dark color we base coated out of. This is where I was pulling out of. Now I'm going to take this scarlet red. Actually, I'm going to take Mephiston red because I think it's a little darker. So I'm going to take this Mephiston red. And I'm actually going to go ahead and mix this Mephiston red right in this. So I'm going to take a nice little bit of Mephiston red here. Get that dry piece out. I'm going to mix this in. See how I'm lightening that up a lot. All right, so this basically you're just lightening up that you're lightening that up a little bit. And if that's not, let's say it's too dark, let's say it's too light, you just take some of that old word bearer red that we mixed up and you just kind of add it to it. Or mix over here if you wanted to. You know what I mean? Now we got three different shades of red. And now you can pull. I'm gonna leave that there for a second. It's gonna be hard to see. So now I'm gonna use this red we just mixed up. Okay, I'm gonna use that, dry my brush off a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna actually start on, get some of that off my brush. Start at the top of his head and see if or actually I'm gonna start on back here because I can hide this better if I don't like it. So I think it's a little, now you could do whatever you want, but I think it's just a little too light for me. So I'm going to use what we have up here, kind of mix this up. I'm going to get a little bit darker. Just get a little bit darker up here. This is our custom color we've been adding to. I'm just going to get a little darker, and I think I'm going to use that. Again, here is my highlights. Here's my light source is coming from this way. All right. So I'm going to actually start it on here. Just here, and I'm going to just get his knee, kind of following the definition of the muscle. Okay. See, because you're going to see that part when you look down, so that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. Put a little highlight here, like little, just here enough. And then follow the contour of the muscle here. Now I'm actually, even though you're not going to see this part, I'm going to go up a little bit on his thigh. A little bit up on the thigh here. Just to create a little bit more definition in the suit when you're looking at it from the beginning, from the front. Because I do have the color of the suit that I like. Now see, I didn't dry that dark, or I didn't dry that light, but since it didn't dry light, I'm gonna actually go over the whole suit with that color. but I'm going to kind of start going favoring towards the middle, favoring towards my light source. So here I'm going to do the front of the boot here towards my light source. Okay, just going to touch some of these. Now, painting sometimes isn't about, it doesn't have to be scientific. It just can be feeling, right? Just the way it looks. These are your miniatures. It is your art. So you can, I'm just going to get all the part that's not, wrinkled. No. I'm going to see if I can show you. Let me get this out of the way. It's kind of messing up the lighting. All right. So what I'm going to do is if you can see this, I'm going to just take right on this fold, just highlight that a little bit. All right. Notice I'm not painting all the way to the edge of this panel. I'm just staying in the middle of the panel. Okay, I'm just staying in the middle of the panel. I'm going to the top here and just to the bottom, and staying in the middle, and kind of just highlighting some of this, just giving us a little bit more red, a little bit more bright red. Okay, now to be a little bit more careful, might come out of the frame on this one just to see. But what I want to do is highlight this here, the eyebrows of the suit, and the cheeks of the suit. That makes the face pop out a little bit. Let's get more on the horns here. All right. So, sorry, I came out of frame a little bit. So now we see definition in the suit, right? So we used all those colors. We have all those colors in here. We have our word bearer and our heavy red mixed there. Then we mixed the Mephiston red and the heavy red there because it was too light. So we're only using these three colors. So these three colors are what's making our shading work well, because we're using the same family. We're not introducing another color. We're doing this with reds because this is what we want DareDevil to be. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to what I thought was too bright, which is the Mephiston red mixed with the heavy red. And now I'm going to do my bigger shading, more of my shading. Right, this might be my final highlight. We'll have to see how it dries. Okay. So now we're going to take that, and then we're going to, this is now where we're going to actually use this view here. Okay. So I'll take something off my brush and just get the area that the light's going to hit the most, right? Just the raised areas. Get up here a little bit, just the raised areas. Right? So here we got this little lip on the shoulder pad. We're going to hit that. We're going to hit some of these creases. We're going to hit here. We're going to hit the bandana, or the wristband. The creases in the gloves, the knuckles, okay, of each finger. So we're doing, right? We're going to get that. We're going to get the head. You see, I'm holding my model. See, I'm holding my model the same way I want the highlights to be. Get something off my brush here. Now here's what we're going to do on the back. So we have some of this, right? We got some of this part right here. We're going to just hit the top of this. Okay, just the top. I'm turning it over like this so I can hit some muscles. I can see it a little bit better. Because I want to stay within the muscle definition of the model. All right. So now I know that this our light source is going to be here, but this is what I'm going to do around here. Okay, I'm gonna brighten up the horns a little bit. Still put one more layer on the head just to get a little bit more definition here. Kind of blend it into the top of the head. All right. Just so I can reach it better, we're gonna go down here. We're gonna hit the top of this. We're gonna hit the thigh right here, just where the muscle's at. We're gonna follow the contours of the muscle. Follow the model. Okay. And even though we really couldn't see a lot of it, what we're going to do is we're going to follow on this leg back here. All right, this is where now this is where I'm going to kind of break the rule about the light source, right? Because I want to define his head a little bit more, right? So I'm going to take that same color that we've been using, and I'm going to see if I can get this to, if you can see it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to just put it on the eyebrows of the suit. And I'm going to put it on the cheeks of the suit right here. Just to give it a little bit more. Now, I know I hit I hit this face. So, all right, so now we have that. Now the top part. So I'm going to take, actually, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take this Evil Sun's red, which is a really bright, it's the brightest yellow it's the brightest red we used so far. Took my small detail brush, my liner brush, and I might have to do this off camera because I can't get the position. Let's see if I can get this down a little bit just so I can. Now what I'm going to do is just try to so the eyes are really hard to see because he's so small, but it is a lighter red. So now what I'm going to do is back this back up again. All right, so now the question is, let's do some details, right? Now, I know depending on what you watch, you can make these D's different color. I like the solid suit. I like the solid red suit. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could make the belts like a darker red or a lighter red, but I don't want to. I want it all to be the same. However, I am going to take some lead belcher, and I'm going to touch up all the buckles the buckles on here, and I'm going to make those all silver. And I'll do that, and I'm going to actually take the line here, and I'm going to make that silver as well, lead belcher. So I'm going to do that all off camera, and I'll be back when I'm done. When you're doing red on red tones, it's hard to get that camera view to really pick up the tone part of it, where you can see the different shades. But we do have some shades. I have to actually go back in and hit some of this. So here, look, I got some stuff on, and don't worry if you get some silver on there, because you can just go back in, and I got my darker color. Just gonna go back in and touch that up with the same colors. That's why I'm still using that same palette. Can't see it now, but you can see some of it a little bit. Like I said, it's tough to see on the when you're not standing up close to the model, but there are different tones on there. Let's see if I can get a little closer here. So now what I'm going to do, for whatever reason, it just won't stay focused on this, probably because of the whip. But now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go in and I'm going to paint this tombstone and the base. But this is, and I'm actually going to put a Atarax Earthshade, a null oil on the silver parts just to dull them up a little bit. And I'm going to paint the gravestone. And the concrete that it's on, or the building part. I don't know if it's a gravestone or not, but I'm going to put the building part. I'll paint that base up, and then I'll be back and show you kind of how to give it a quick dry brush, and then we'll be done. I have one that's already done, but I use this is not for DareDevil, although I could use it. I use the Mechanicus gray, then I dry brush. I hit it with some Nun oil. I hit it with some Nun oil over top of it, and then to get inside the base here, and then I dry brush it over again with this, just around the concrete part of it. And so that's what I'll show you. I'll show you on the tombstone, or the building part, or whatever it is. So I got my all right. So I actually used Atarax Earthshade, and I covered some of the. I just basically washed all the brush and the tombstone or the fallen debris. It looks like it might be a fallen debris because there's no writing on it. So what I'm gonna do now is take and make that debris a little bit different color. So I'm gonna start with some dirt, and I'm gonna use this Rhinox Hide Brown. I'm just gonna get a little on my brush there. Use this to wipe it off. And I'm just going to hit it. It's okay if it gets on the rock. Okay, so I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more brown just to get us a little something else. So I'm going to take my original color, which is going to be the Mechanicus gray. Let me clean my brush off here. Just get this extra piece of cardboard behind me, or next to me, and I'm just going to take it. And what I want to do is actually work my way from the cracks, right? Just to give it a nice little texture to lighten up some of the where it might have pooled. Now what this actually does is this dry brushing gives it a little bit of a concrete texture to it as well. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit more of that. I'm going to go here. Kind of get some of the puddle pooling off of it. I don't want to get it on Daredevil's foot. I did get it on there, but it's okay. It just looks like it's a little dirt on his foot. Debris. All right. Let me go to a little lighter gray. I think probably use this Dawn Stone Gray, I think. It's a little lighter, has a little bit of a brownish cast to it. But you can see you can see it on the paper how it's a little bit different. The Mechanicus Gray and the Dawnstone Gray. And again, I'm just gonna, and don't worry about it. See, I put a little bit on, too much on there. It's okay. I'm actually gonna leave it there. Because if you ever look at a piece of concrete, you do have some colors some streaking because a lot of it's hand moved, meaning that it's hand formed. Someone takes a trowel and smooths it out. All right, so it's a little lighter now. So I'm going to take my last shade is going to be this administrative green. Administrative gray, and that's a lot lighter. So I'm just gonna take more of this off my brush. Because I'm not going to wet my brush yet because this is a dry brush technique. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to take more off my brush. So when I get into this light color, it's not... Now here's a lighter color. Then I'm just going to get... So I'll make sure I'm pulling off of some of the cracks there. Then I'm gonna just touch the tops. I'm not gonna go into too much into that. I just want to touch the tops of it. All right, now I'm gonna take just a little bit lighter brown. Maybe the Steel Legion brown. I'm just going to introduce that into the... So I'm just going to introduce that Steel Legion brown. I'm just going to kind of put that a little bit around this dirt pile around this concrete too, just to show that it's not all the same. And then a little bit more on maybe the back side of this where it's buried, just to get a nice little Alright. Now I'll clean it off because I'm done dry brushing. There you have it, guys. Daredevil. Again, it's hard to see with